Hello there, it's Paul Holton from SEO Underground, and I am here with the man, the legend, the myth. It is Craig Campbell.
It's very energetic introduction there, Paul. Thank you. Nearly as energetic as the old shirt, old boy. Can't not slag off the shirt and braces.
Okay, it's a look. That's all I can say about that. But yeah, no, I've got some more to bring out. So if you're coming to SEO Underground, you too can see the majesty of the shirt collection that I've accumulated over the past year.
It's strange. A lot of people say to me, or you can see it in their faces when I start slagging off the shirts or the braces or whatever. The guy in the basketball top and shorts slagging off anyone's clothes is pretty. It's a bad day, right?
That's
hey, it is what it is.
So for those who don't know, Craig, just give a brief breakdown as to who you are and what you do.
So my name's Craig Campbell, based in Glasgow, Scotland. Been in the industry for 20 years. I've been telling people I've been in the industry for 20 years, but hey, it's something around 20 years the reality now. And yeah, I've been everything from the guy in the bedroom trying to earn a living to owning my own agency, to doing affiliate marketing, to doing training, buying and selling websites, and generally just messing around now and doing different stuff, getting my finger in a lot of different pies now, and trying to make my money and expertise work for me rather than me working for money. So that's what it's all about now, investing in the right projects, in the right things, and trying to be streetwise really is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I guess it comes to a certain point in a career, and if you've had some success, which arguably you have, there comes a point where I guess you probably want to turn your success into kind of long-term success, and that's where you kind of are, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I've had loads and loads and loads of successes. I've had a lot more failures, but hey, you become smarter, wiser. And yeah, you obviously still want to grow your brand, you want to grow your income, you want to decrease your stress levels, you want to decrease your working hours, spend more time doing the things that you enjoy, whether that be family time, whether that be doing your hobbies or whatever. And I think trying to get that work-life balance is where I'm at just now. I think I've had the rough patches, I've had the rough experience. I've made the mistakes and a lot of them, and it's just now trying to find a kind of happy medium. You don't have to be a billionaire out there. As long as you're earning enough to have a comfortable life and go onwards and upwards, then that is what's important to me. It's not about maybe having 100 websites or whatever, or having this 100-person digital agency. Been there, done it. It wasn't fun. Never had 100 people, by the way, but I tried to. That was the aspiration, having an agency, and I got to 17 people at one point, and the wheels fell off. And bad management on my part, lack of experience in business management and everything else, all contributed to that. But it was fun trying and. I didn't fall flat in my face. I still hung on in there and done a reasonably good job for 9 years, but it wasn't for me. And, that's where you adapt and try different stuff and go down a different route. And I think, that's the great thing about the online or digital marketing space is, there's many different ways to make money, whether you're selling someone else's stuff, whether you're a consultant, whether you're whatever, content writer. You can be whatever you want to be, really. And that's why I love this game. So, and I love talking to other people, is because, even now, and we spoke about it prior to coming on here. I turn up at a conference and I speak at a lot of conferences, and I select conferences based on locations I've not been to and stuff. So when you're asked to go to Prague, you're like, yeah, fuck it, affiliate marketing in Prague, why not? I've not been, go and see what's happening out there. And then it turns out to be a porn conference, and and genuinely not until I physically stepped in the venue, I didn't know it was a porn conference. I'd done no research, I'd done nothing. But it was eye-opening, met a lot of good people, making a lot of good money, and yeah, every day's a learning day. So again, these things don't happen unless you get out and about and you've got the freedom to be able to do that stuff. And I think that's what certainly helped me be creative and come up with ideas and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just finding what you enjoy doing and investing the right time, energy and money into those projects.
Yeah. And how do you think the landscape of sort of SEO has sort of changed over the past 12 months?
I'm not going to lie, that is one of the questions that I hate the most, because people always expect you to come up with some crazy big long answer. As far as I'm concerned, of course, the landscape evolves. It doesn't change as much. And even now, people are going on about this helpful content update and stuff like that.
Yes.
Google have always been rewarding helpful content. This is nothing new. They are drawing it out in dumb terms. Stop your spammy, shitty content. That's what the helpful content update is. So again, does things change from year to year? Yes, people will argue the helpful content updates out, or this updates out, or that updates out. Again, you've got to adapt. You've got to use the right strategies, the right way of doing things. There's a right and a wrong way to do anything in life. And yes, I'm primarily probably known for doing a lot of black hat stuff and blowing shit up and, all that kind of stuff. That's all just fun for me, trying stuff out, seeing what works. That's me understanding the internet. The reality is, when it comes down to making money, am I doing stuff that I am likely to wake up one day in 6 months and see my income streams being bashed by Google? Nah, I'm not doing that. I'd rather spend money doing the things the right way. And obviously you have this public perception, or people have this public perception of you, only doing these things, or maybe using GSA to do all your link building to your money websites. I'm no different from anyone else. I'm doing a bit of digital PR, and I'm doing a bit of this and a bit of that, and trying to do things to the best of my ability, and in terms of what I believe to be the right way and working. And I'm doing what those who also have top rankings are doing. So does it change from year to year? I think, if you listen to a certain side of the industry, people make it sound like the goalposts are moved every other day. Has good content always been rewarded? Yes. Has link building always been part of SEO? Yes. Has content marketing changed to some degree? Yes. Has link building changed? Yes. The quality,
relevance,
the barrier of quality is raising all the time to flush out the kind of garbage. So, but I think a lot of the stuff that worked, even 5 years ago, still work very well to this day. So what has changed? I think obviously Google's ability, or Google's ongoing thing is to try and keep quality up there. They want to serve the best websites with the best quality for the users who are making the right searches, and that's never going to change. So if you're doing your job properly and serving what you believe to be the best information, quality, and all that kind of stuff to your users based on the intent of the search, then you shouldn't really go that far wrong. So for me, a lot of people overcomplicate it and think that the goals move. We're all doing massively different stuff from maybe last year or the year before, but we're not really. You just maybe fine-tuning things and maybe continuing to learn and evolve and embrace the tools and the technology and everything that's out there as well. So, the job is definitely getting harder, but easier at the same time, because we've got all these great tools out there doing a lot of the analysis and stuff for us as well. So although the kind of the job itself is not a case of spinning out some crappy content and bashing hundreds of thousands of links at it, and all of a sudden you're going to rank. Of course, it's getting harder, but easier at the same time. So we've got amazing tools to help us along the way and see what the competition's doing, and do a lot of analysis. So it's not an easy job, but it's still fun, playing with all the tools and seeing what the competition are up to.
Yeah. I think you're right. It's interesting. I was reading somewhere that the conspiracy theorists think that a lot of these AIs are now being brought out to almost help flush out the lazy SEOs and content writers, because it makes it that easy to write content that actually also makes it dead easy to detect it as well. So it's quite an interesting thought behind that, don't you think?
I mean, there probably is a very, very valid point in that, but that's based on someone being lazy. People that are lazy, that want to push a button to get everything to work, are never likely to make a lot of money. There's got to be more to it than just pushing a button, spitting out, all of this kind of content. So yeah, Google could or can detect that stuff. I think it's good to use these as part of maybe assisting your content team to some degree, but there is a hell of a lot more to it. Human editors are always going to be needed, and just quality control. It doesn't matter whether you're in a whiskey factory or whatever. There's got to be an element of quality control. Someone's got to taste something, or test something, or look at something along the way. And your website is no different from anything else that's out there. There's got to be an element of quality control there, and I'm pretty sure that's always going to be the case, to be honest. Tools are good, but hey, we need to know what we're doing, when we're using them, and when not to, and that all comes down to, again, trial and error and testing. So, which you've got to do.
So, do you think, in your opinion, have you noticed any changes in the way that content's ranking?
I mean, obviously, you hear of all the usual updates. Obviously, I don't work for Google, and I'm not going to sit here and try and claim to know the ins and outs of how Google look at content. But we can see what is being rewarded for any given search term. What are Google placing in the top 10 search results? We can see the structure. We can see what's going on. We can use Surfer, POP, and stuff to analyze that and give us an idea of what's working. And I think you can't go far wrong in using these. Is Google using semantically related keywords more? All of these kind of things that have all evolved over the past few years as well. And people are saying, "Oh, Google are doing this, Google are doing that." They're now taking into account this, that, and the next thing. The reality is, we don't know. We know what's being rewarded, though, and that's why I think these tools are amazing. So, yes, I think if we look at tools like SEMrush, they have a specific section when you're doing keyword research talking about intent of the keywords. Is it informational? Is it commercial? And stuff like that. And it would make perfect sense. If someone Googles how to do something, that you're giving them a guide or some form of information, not trying to sell them something. So I get it. A lot of these things make a lot of common sense as well. If you Google how to, before you were probably being sold like how to switch on the iron, typical bloke thing. Probably never lifted an iron in my life, or you for that matter.
Hey, not with these shirts.
But the thing is, how to, and then you're being peddled a new iron. It pisses me off, and I go to another website. So yes, these things come out and we can see that intent, a lot of people are talking about intent. We can even see SEMrush put the intent bit in their, in their tool and stuff like that. So yeah, you can see all of this stuff happening and, matching the query, the search query to the intent of the user makes perfect sense. And I think before people were just slapping up any old shit and there was no real thought process to it. I can see that, topical clustering is another thing that people don't do too well. They go off and just, they want to just write, and there's no real, core topic with supporting articles. It's never drawn out like that. It's never even mapped out. So these are all very basic things that I still see people doing wrong. But the more experience you get and the more you play in this game, it becomes clearer. Just do the basics properly. So yeah, content changes. I think these things are being rewarded more by Google. But as I say, when you look at it, especially with the intent thing and all that kind of stuff, makes perfect sense. When I say it to you and you nod your head, you're like, fuck, it makes so much sense. And I think even talking to someone not in the industry would be like, yeah, well, why would we selling irons when the guy's trying to fucking learn how to fix it or change the plug on it or, put water into it or something, think about these things. And, and I think that's where a lot of people have went wrong over the years is you've got away with so much crap. And now that, Google's figuring stuff out and adapting their algorithm to incorporate certain things, people are all kicking off and saying that Google's the big bad whatever and it's changing the goalposts all the time. They're just simplifying the way it works, really. And for me, I've always found SEO a fairly simple thing. But some people find it extremely difficult. I find it makes a lot of it's just common sense and hard work. But hey, it is what it is.
It is. So have you been sort of thinking about sort of some of the changes and stuff like that? Have you been testing or working on any SEO theories this year or, recently or, trying some stuff out that you fancied having a look at in more depth?
I would always consider myself to be someone who tries things out. I do a lot of this in the mastermind that I've got. I've got a private mastermind. It's not something I do publicly, where we'll run around in graveyards with loads of mobile phones, testing click-through rate on Google My Business listings.
Yeah.
We will try and see whether adding keywords to reviews help Google My Business listings. These are both from a local perspective, but always, I'm currently building a website based on Fiverr and just using spun content and spamming the shit out of it to see how far I can go before it blows up. So does AI content work? All of these questions come up all the time, and there's certain instances where I can say, yeah, I've tried it. I mean, I certainly wouldn't agree that it's a long-term strategy, but I also like to, I get questions like how many links before you get penalized and stuff. Again, these are things that I've tried. I've even had negative SEO attacks on some of my own stuff where people have been using GSA for 18 months before I got a manual or a partial penalty. Again, these are all things that I like to play around with, and I like to see how far you can push stuff. It's the same with human beings. I always poke fun at guys like yourself or other friends or whatever, just to see how far you can push them and noise them up and wind them up. And that's kind of testing, but it's also just banter as well. But, just pushing people to get a reaction out of them. It's the same as pushing a website to try and get a reaction out of it. It's just in my nature. I like to see sometimes how far I can push someone to wind them up, not in a bad way or a malicious way, just because I just like to see people reacting or whatever. So it's never done with bad intentions, but the same rules apply. I like to see how people react to some of the strange stuff I say to them, or I like to see, even when I come on to podcasts and webinars, anyone that's ever done a podcast or webinar with me, or in my private mastermind, I always pretend that I'm like, and you can see people going like, what the fuck? And they're checking all their computer, and then I just bust out laughing just to get a reaction out of people. So again, I always try and testing in life. And I think it's just a good, healthy thing to do. And, even going to the gym, testing myself doing boxing, see how the old body can react. If it still reacts at this age. So I think life is all about trying and testing new things, and it's trying and testing new holiday resorts. It's you do it all through your life. So why wouldn't you try and test all sorts of different shit on a website, whether that be purely from a design perspective, SEO perspective, CRO perspective, all of these things, trying different templates, themes. I think you always have to do that. And again, whether it comes to social media, you're trying different videos, you're trying different images, you're trying to see what the fuck works and get the right formula. So I think I can't sit there and say, I don't test, because if you're not testing, you're not doing your job properly. There's amazing tools that come out that I'm always testing. Listen, 9 times out of 10, those tests are fucking miserable. I'm still looking for the magic bullet like everyone else. The best AI content writer, the best this, the best that. All of these AppSumo deals, I am always looking for something that I know is fucking not there. There is no tool that's going to do all of your SEO for you and shit out all this great content. But even after 20 years in the game, I'm still the same as everyone else. I'm hoping that
Still looking for it.
And it just makes my life easier. So, so do a test. Do I waste a lot of money on shit? Do I blow shit up? Do I buy shit? Like here's an example, right? Let me give you an example.
Go.
So this is kind of partial testing, right? Partial testing. So with 4G proxies, they're quite expensive. They're apparently working the best and all that stuff. So Craig goes out and buys a big 4G proxy rig from a company called Proxidize. Now, essentially, you pay 1,500 quid. You can stick 20 dongles in there. You can set up your own mobile proxies and so on and so forth and all that shit. I bought it and I never get around to testing it. It's still in the fucking box. I am trying to test too much. Is probably what I'm trying to say here. I spend a lot of money on bullshit that I don't need and doing stuff. And I'll get round to using these. I've even got the SIM cards to go in to those dogs. And I've also got the top-up vouchers to do them all. So I put my money where my mouth is. I just don't have the time to test everything in the world. And that's the thing. You need to be clever when it comes to testing.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this thing with the dongle or the Proxidized rig out? I don't even know. Because I don't even do local SEO. I don't use fucking 4G proxies. But it seemed like a cool thing to have. So, again, just to emphasize, I am still the same shiny object syndrome guy I have been from day one. And I think many of us as SEOs have that. And yes, I do still spend a lot of money on one lot of shite. Is the honest answer.
Well, it's true. And you're right. I think the thing is, I think in all of our lives, if you fail at something, you learn the biggest amount from it. If you succeed at something, you probably learn nothing. But if you fail, if you do it and it was like, oh, well, that was a complete disaster. First of all, you learn you probably shouldn't do it, or you learn what it was that you didn't do right in the first place.
Yeah.
What's it they say, the surefire way to being classed as insane is doing the same thing over and over and being surprised when you don't get a different result.
Yeah,
I think testing things and they don't work out or whatever is a really, really good thing, because you learn from it and you learn what not to do the next time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is just a succession of failures that leads you to the right answer.
It's one of those things where I've got 2 really successful websites just now. And I probably had 7 or 8 other ones in my career that have been reasonably successful. There's been probably hundreds of complete and utter failures. So there's nothing wrong with failure. It was all part of the apprenticeship. And and I listen, I hold my hands up, to any of the mistakes I make. I've been rushing into niches that I should never have rushed into. I didn't understand a lot of stuff. I'm an impulsive guy. I'm a crazy guy. I'm a, fucking, there's a lot of traits that I've got that probably everyone's got. And you make a lot of failures. So, I'm not a fan of these guys sitting out there saying that everything they do turns to 100 grand or 500 grand or whatever. There has been a lot more failures than successes. And you know what? I think any person in the world out there, any normal businessman will tell you the same thing. They do a couple of things right, and that's that whole 80-20 thing. 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of the shit you've done properly. And again, even when it comes to testing, I'm testing all sorts of crazy shit. I should have a lot more focus and I would probably do a lot better. But you can't take the impulsiveness or the character out of a guy, or it is what it is. But I think, essentially what makes me different from your average Joe is I keep going and keep going and keep trying. And, I've got a massive work ethic, and a hunger to have a comfortable life. And as I say, not be a billionaire. And I think that is what sets the winners from the kind of losers in this space. Anyone else I know that's successful, just a grinder. They don't necessarily have to have all the skills they need. They're just proper enthusiastic. And give it a good go and give it their best go, and that's all you can really ask for.
Failing your way to success.
Listen, that could be
give me your book title.
Could be my new book title if I ever decide to do a book. So I've got a lot of stories to tell, but hey, I don't know if anyone would buy it quite. But
I'm sure they would.
I just haven't got the patience to write it, mate. That's the God's honest truth. Fuck that. I would need a ghostwriter. So if anyone out there is a good ghostwriter that could sit and listen to me talking shit all day and turn it into a book, hit me up. As long as the price is right.
Of course.
So I like a good deal. I'm a typical Scotsman. Not quite as tight as Paul, but hey, I'm not far from it.
Oh, thank you very much. Now, because of the recent changes, like some sites have seen some really, really big drops in visitors. We've kind of covered some of those reasons, perhaps it's poor content, but it could be a whole multitude of things. What would be if somebody came to you and said, Craig, and we've seen it, on your lives and things like that, I've lost a load of visitors. What's the first thing that you'd say to go and check? What would you say to have a look at on a site that's suddenly had a big nosedive in visits?
In most cases, I'm not saying every case, but in most cases, it is down to shit content. I had a friend that messaged me 2 days ago, and he says to me, Craig, I'm thinking of buying this website for $5,000. I'm like, all right. He says, do you mind having a look at it for me? I'm like, cool. He said, the website was doing really well. Then it gets slapped in that May update, and it's 80% of the traffic's gone. Why would that be? Is it recoverable? Blah, 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 blah. And you look at the website and it's your standard Amazon affiliate website. It has no about me page. It's always the top 5 or the top 10 products. everything is just super commercial, no informational content, blah, 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 blah. Yes, you're going to get a fucking slap, but you know, that is the most common thing you see. Just shit work, no topical clusters, no internal links, sale, sale, sale. So it's all commercial intent. Of course, you're going to get beaten. You've got no About Me page, you've got no social media, you've got nothing. Now, you were earning $2,000 a month, you know, 5 months ago. Your website earns $145 now. That's how much traffic this particular website had lost. And someone going to get a website that was worth $100,000 5 months ago for $5,000. Is that recoverable? Yes, it is. What is needed to make that website recover? Hard work, effort, social media, get the About Me done, make sure it looks like a real website. There's nothing rocket science here, you know, going on. You look at these and you go, I can see why you've been slapped. Your content shit. You've got 2 pages now on that website that actually generate any traffic. Basically, what Google's done is just wiped out all the shit that they shouldn't have really been ranking for in the first place, and wiped it all out. And that is essentially what's happened. And I see that over and over and over again. Obviously, you do see websites that are just technically really bad, really crap design, you know, bad link building, you know. So Google's not just penalising websites that have shit content. I'm not saying that. However, most times when I get asked questions on a live or in my mastermind or whatever, and people say, "Can you have a look at this? You know, it doesn't rank too well, or it slipped." Yeah, your content shit, mate. You know, do better. Oh, but there's no buts. It's shit, mate. Look at it. It's like fucking 300 words long. You know, tell me what you're targeting here. You know, where's your subheadings? Where's this? Where's that? What the fuck is this? You know, so that is the most common thing I see. And is that recoverable? Yes. You know, there's wolves out there who are waiting for websites like that to fall into their lap. They will go in, add their strategy to it, and fucking sell them for $100,000 a pop, whatever. Yeah. So again, not doing the basics right is what I see happening on a regular basis. And yes, I am the same. I would love to just churn out automated spun content, AI content, whatever, and do 300 posts a day or whatever it could be. And yes, you may get away with that for a short period, but you are going to get slapped. Job done. So, yeah, I think, you know, the biggest thing I see it is a lot of it's content related.
Yeah.
I get bored of telling myself that as well. You know, when people ask that question, you're just like, it's the same fucking answer over and over again.
It's funny, and there's now, I've noticed new sort of businesses and websites that are springing up that are actually there to diagnose broken sites, basically, you know, sites that have lost traffic. You know, I've seen a couple spring up recently. I think that they've probably sprung up, and it's no disrespect to anybody who's actually doing it, but I think that they've sprung up because there is still that belief that there is a simple answer to a wider problem. That, as you say, content quite often is the problem, but of course, no one really wants to address the content because that generally is the backbone of the site. So if you've got 100 articles and 60 of them are rubbish, you know, that's 60 more articles you've either got to put right or rewrite before your website starts to recover. What I think people hope for is that there's a magic that these businesses are going to turn around and go, no, it's okay. What it is, sorry, you didn't put a comma in that bit of code, and that is what's caused the problem. The site's not being indexed anymore.
It's one of those things. People look to blame the designer. They will look to blame the SEO and the backlinks. They will look to blame the IT department, whatever, you know, whatever they can blame, it gets passed around to avoid doing the tedious, horrible job of the writing content. So you're right, it's the most horrendous bloody job, But if you can't be asked doing it yourself, pay someone to do it.
Yeah, outsource it,
You know,
except it's going to cost you. Yeah,
it's I don't particularly like design. Get some other schmuck to do the design. You know, when I say I don't particularly like design, I don't do design. Full stop. So, but you know, it's no different. You know, I don't like going to the gym either and busting my chops and sweating like a pig. But I kind of have to do it because no one can go for me.
no.
But you know, I don't like cleaning, so I, you know, have the wife to do it, or I would pay a cleaner. I'll probably get killed for saying that, but she's
Good
not.
afternoon, Mrs. Campbell.
But nah, in reality,
I hope you prepared the spare bedroom.
I know. But nah, in reality, like if you don't like cleaning, you do it. Like I've had friends who work hard and they don't like cooking, and they'll pay a food prep company to make their food. You know, whatever. You know, you can delegate almost anything. You're ironing, you can take your shit down to the ironing person if you can't be asked ironing. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's bloody downright lazy if you're going to these levels, but hey, people do it and don't have time and all that kind of stuff. We're all time poor. But something's got to be done, whether it's ironing, whether it's writing content, somebody's got to do it, and that's it.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It is about, I think, first of all, understanding and appreciating what you are and what you're not good at.
Yeah.
I think the next thing then is to turn around and say, okay, well, what's my time worth? And if you can pay somebody less money than what it would cost you to do it yourself, then you should do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if that means that you hire a cleaner because, you know, your hourly worth is 50 quid and the cleaner's 15, then providing you spend that time wisely and you don't just sit there spinning around in your chair, you know, that's money well spent. But I think with content, it is a special type of person who writes good content. Who can do it consistently. You know, I think everyone can turn out a good article now and again, but I think if you had to turn out 2 articles a week, every week, 12 months a year, I think a lot of people would struggle, or the quality would drop. And you're no better off.
But at the end of the day, content is still key to ranking. So even though that you're putting that problem in front of us, you have to find a way around that problem because it needs to be done. And that's all there is to it. So it's up to you to be creative in your way of getting that done at a higher volume whilst retaining that quality. And whether that's using multiple writers, training your writers better, briefing them better, all of these things go into helping that writer churn out what they need to churn out. And I think content briefs and stuff are awful. Truly awful from what I've seen in a lot of cases. And again, that's where content goes wrong because the content writer's not given the tools or the knowledge to go on and do it. It's the equivalent of giving someone that iron, your clothes, and no iron to iron them with. So, you know, the content writer needs some substance. And that always comes down to a lack of time from those at the top, or the marketing guy or the SEO guy or whoever's in charge. They don't have enough time, so being pushed and pulled in different directions. That's where your processes, any kind of automation in terms of creating your content briefs, such as Phrase, various other tools like that. So it can all be done. But again, it's allocating the right time to the right people. And you'll get success. So it's as I say, that's what I see going wrong in a lot of cases. It's not even just the content that, you know, you can go deeper into that. Is it the processes? Is it you know, the way that you're asking the content writer to do it? You know, these pure bandits are probably sitting there with little to no instruction, and then we're all critiquing, saying it's shit content. When some geezers just basically said, go and write, you know, 1,000 words on this. There you go. See you later.
Must have this word in it.
It's I think there's a deeper problem there in terms of education and processes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I hear a lot more about processes, standard operating procedures, processes, and I think that if you're going to do it at scale and if you're going to do a lot of it, processes are absolutely essential to success. If you're going to build a site quickly, an affiliate site quickly, we spoke about it briefly before we started this. You've got to have some procedures in place to be able to do that, because you're going to need to know the articles, the content of the articles, the next articles that are going to be linking to that article, how many you need,
Yeah,
how many silos it's going to require, how you're going to link them, all of that type of stuff. And I think, building better briefs will certainly go a long way towards that.
exactly.
So the reason we're talking is obviously SEO Underground, 4th of October. Any thoughts on what you might be talking about this year?
The honest answer is I'm not sure. The reason for that is I'm going to do something that no one else is doing. I'm in a fortunate position where I'm able to see what other people are speaking about, and I know a lot of the other speakers and stuff. So once I see everything they're speaking about, then I'll try and come in. Because again, there's no point in, let's say, Chris Palmer coming over talking about local SEO and then me talking about local SEO.
No.
So I think based on, I would say I'm a fairly broad SEO. I've been in the game for a long time, and I've got a lot of experience and a lot of different talking points and different angles to talk about. I will wait and see what angle I come in at. Again, I get bored of listening to myself talking sometimes, talking about the same thing time and time again. So I'd like to, come up with some new stories, new ideas, new things that I've played around with. It will most likely be some form of black hattery, just because I like that stuff. But yeah, I'm going to see what the others are talking about, because I know Holly will probably talk something along the lines of automation, YouTuber, or one of those things. You've got Van de Graaf, who's just a dirty black hat. Terry Power, you've got a fairly broad guy there. We don't know I don't know what he's going to be talking about yet. So, Matthew Booth's going to be talking about links in the niches that he operates in sports and casino. So it's difficult. Where do you go in and what do you talk about? So I need a bit more time to think, because I think we've already got a wide range, and that's not all the speakers. That's just the ones I can think of the top of my head. And I think, I don't know. I really don't know what angle I could come in at. I'm just going to have to seek advice from my peers and say, guys, what would you think would be a good way to approach this? So we'll see.
Yeah.
And I'm not teasing. I genuinely don't know. Just in case anyone's like, you fucker, come on, tell us.
I think the thing is as well, which is quite an interesting sort of thought, is some people kind of think that the conference is only going to be talking really, really technically and everything like that. But I know that there were a fair few people who came last year who had been relatively new to SEO, but had actually gleaned a huge amount of information and knowledge from actually understanding from those who are like yourself, who have been doing it for years and years and years, who are arguably at the pinnacle of the SEO sort of world, but actually just reinforcing the basics of the processes you need to go through to make a website work and be found.
Look, I know a guy, Daniel Travis, who came to SEO Underground last year. At the time, Travis was a part owner of an agency.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying SEO Underground made him do anything, but Trav has now left the agency.
Right.
He came to SEO Underground and had ideas and seen a bit of affiliate and seen a bit of this and seen a bit of that, and has went off in a slightly different direction. Trav's now doing a lot of local stuff, and excelling in it. He's in my mastermind, and he's like, look at this, all these kind of green things on Local Falcon, showing amazing results for local. And I think a lot of these things he wasn't doing as an agency because it was a lot more corporate and maybe more national, international, whatever. And I think he came and he's like, fuck, hats off to him. He's like, fuck, I could make other money, doing this stuff, away from the agency. I like more of this stuff, a bit of this and a bit of that. And Trav's doing really well for himself. So I'm not saying that SEO Underground was the deciding factor in any way, shape, or form, but I think when you're surrounding yourself with people, and last year we had a wide range of, again, Josh George has his agency in London, fairly corporate, clean, all that kind of stuff. Then you Peter van de Graaf, you had the chaps from the Magic Page plugin, Mike Martin and his business partner were there. Yep. So you'd all sorts of people. And here's another one. Simon Hogbin came to the SEO Underground. Simon went off and done a lot of Magic Page plugin stuff, and was building mass page sites, and he left there taking action and doing stuff, and I think Simon's now also wanting to do a lot more affiliate. So again, that's just a couple of people that I've just pulled out, from the people that were there that got probably, a lot of value and a lot of experience in doing all of these things, and went off in slightly different directions from where they were at. And, that for me is amazing to see, seeing these guys try and take an action, going away and doing shit. And they might not succeed, and they may slightly adapt it and then try this and try that. They took action. They took action. They made money. They maybe did different thing. And I'm not saying any of them have failed, because I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, they're both doing really well. But I know, having also talked to Simon Hogbin, that he's interested in the affiliate thing. And Simon's a photographer that was doing his own SEO, and then he comes and he's doing this mass page shit and doing lead generation. Now he wants to do affiliate. So he's more than just a photographer. He's doing other stuff. He's got multiple revenue streams. And, Simon also was selling a Pinterest course probably about 6 months ago, which I also bought, him, and I can't remember the girl's name. So again, hats off to Simon. He took action. He's seen different money-making opportunities, and he's gave them a bash, and that's what it's all about. For me, is seeing people evolve and changing. You can't be static and do something you fucking hate. If you're doing SEO in an agency, I'm not saying that's a bad job. Definitely not. But the great thing I said at the start is you can go off in different directions. You can do affiliate, you can do all this different stuff, and that's what I like to see. And if obviously I've ever had one person that's ever listened to anything I've ever said, it makes me feel good knowing that I've potentially helped them. So if there's anything I've ever said to any of these, I'm not saying it is me, but collectively between the conference, the speakers, and all that kind of stuff, I think we all help towards helping those people grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's network widening, isn't it? I mean, there was some access to some really top guys who are, again, top of their game, who were there, who were, really, really interactive, and, so on and so forth. And that was brilliant. That was ace, and I certainly learned a lot from just, sitting back and having a beer with them and listening to what they were doing and getting ideas and, you know, understanding, you know, and I think it was you that said, you know, there are so many different ways to make money online. It isn't as simple as setting up a shop. You know, shop's one of the more traditional ways, but there are so many different ways of you know, of making money through affiliate, through, you know, different types of sites, through traffic, through all of those different medium. And it's about opening your mind to just realizing where the opportunity lies and talking to people who have done it and who have been through the mill and come out the other side, because it can accelerate your learning no end.
Exactly.
Well, there we are. Well, we are really looking forward to seeing you on the 4th of October, Craig, and tickets are available at seounderground.co.uk. There are going to be some more offers coming out soon, and potentially some other surprise announcements coming up as well. So hopefully we look forward to seeing you at SEO Underground on the 4th of October. It leaves me to thank Craig Campbell for taking the time to be interviewed, and we will see you next time. Thanks again, Craig.